If you've had your eye on a skyscraper in Denver, this is the time to buy.
About $3.2 million for both buildings.
The governor got blocked by fellow Dems on AI regulation. Republicans in Washington may bail him out. Fast-tracking asylum claims in Colorado, trying to get ahead of deportations. And high schoolers who transformed their hometown.
And I feel like I'm just gonna be proud to be able to walk downtown Greeley.
That's tonight on Next. $3 million is a lot of money, but it feels cheap for a whole skyscraper. Our Mark Salinger looks at Denver's now deeply discounted downtown.
In the middle of downtown Denver,
We closed April 1st.
two skyscrapers on 17th Street have a new owner.
About $3.2 million for both buildings.
Asher Lozado just bought them for more than 90% off what they were worth just 6 years ago.
These buildings were probably worth close to $200 million in 2019.
And that is where Denver's commercial real estate market stands right now when it comes to office space.
Oh, I've seen empty buildings. I've walked through empty buildings.
When the pandemic pushed people home, Denver's offices were left empty. Asher is now planning to redevelop this space into more than 700 apartments.
In the end, I think Denver will benefit from more people living downtown than working downtown.
Office building occupancy, rents, and operating incomes have decreased, interest rates have increased, and skyscrapers like this have been stuck in the middle since the pandemic.
Everybody went home.
We asked Jeff Pesciut at MSU Denver
The change that has happened, it's unprecedented.
and Vivek Saw at DU to explain how massive towers like these could sell for the price of a nice home.
But I would say office buildings have declined in value 40 to 50% from where they were in, say, 2019.
There are a lot of buildings in downtown that are struggling to get the tenants back.
We still have the structural problem of people not wanting to work in office buildings in central business districts.
Tenants don't want to pay that high rent, and landlords have to adjust their expectations to more realistic level.
The future of downtown offices looks different these days.
You're never going to get back to, in my opinion, the occupancy that existed before COVID.
It's a future that also gives new opportunities for Denver's tallest buildings.
The uncertainty and distress is forcing sales on terms that are unprecedented. But I think once we get through this moment, we'll find footing at a higher level again.
So we talked about those two buildings selling for $3 million compared to what they did or what they were worth, about $200 million just 6 years ago. But you have to remember that converting an office building to residential apartments isn't easy. It'll take tens of millions of dollars, if not more, to do that. It's a long-term investment, but one that developers like Asher there hope will pay off.
So downtown vacancies are a Denver problem, but are they a Denver problem?
Yeah, we're seeing this across the country. So Denver's occupancy rate around 25 to 30% that are empty. You look at places like Seattle, Austin, San Francisco, they actually have higher
Vacancy
rates exactly than Denver, for example. But those all have one thing in common, in that they have a lot of tech companies that are there.
Sure.
They send a lot of people to work from home, haven't come back to the office, then they have high vacancy rates.
Yeah, it no doubt is a problem in Denver, right? Because you've got a downtown core that's dependent on folks being there.
Exactly.
Mark Salinger, thank you. Colorado Governor Gov Polus tried and failed to backtrack on a first-in-the-nation AI regulation bill that he himself signed last year. But now he might get bailed out by Republicans in Congress who want to lift all state regulations on AI for the foreseeable future. Spokesperson for the governor's office says he is, quote unquote, generally supportive of a House GOP proposal to roll back state regulations on AI and stop states from passing new regulations for a full decade. That would make the federal government the sole regulator of the AI industry. The Trump administration is pushing for an AI boom to rival what's happening right now in China. Governor Polus says the 10-year moratorium on state regulation could give Congress time to, quote, create a true 50-state solution. He said that could protect consumers without blocking innovation. Earlier this month, Polus unsuccessfully tried to get Democrats at the Capitol to pump the brakes on upcoming regulations that would require companies to notify consumers when they use AI to make decisions, like in employment screenings or college admissions or loan approvals. Polus signed that bill into law last year, but said that there were some kinks that need to be worked out before regulations go into effect in early 2026.
And we need to give sufficient time for successful implementation after people know exactly what it is they're complying with, and whether that's 3 months or a year and a half, we can figure out. But first, we have to figure out the policy and make some of those improvements.
If Congress cannot reach an agreement on pausing AI regulation, there's a chance that Colorado state legislators get called back to the Capitol for a special session before the end of the year to figure out the situation. A man accused of posing as a rideshare driver and sexually assaulting a state legislator is now charged with a felony. That case led her fellow lawmakers to put together new laws addressing both rideshare safety and the lengthy rape kit testing backlog at Colorado's forensics lab. Democratic Representative Jenny Wilford of North Glen is also suing Lyft. She says a driver sexually assaulted her during a ride last February. Her lawsuit alleges the driver was not authorized by Lyft and was using the account of a different person who did clear a background check. Today, prosecutors in Adams County charged Muqdali with felony unlawful sexual contact and issued a warrant for his arrest. So Wilford's lawsuit asked for both monetary damages and policy changes. Lyft wants that lawsuit dismissed. They say impersonating a driver is already against their policy. Wilford and other Democrats passed a bill this year that would require rideshare companies like Lyft and Uber to allow passengers to request audio and video recordings of their ride. It also require those companies to more thoroughly and frequently vet their drivers. In response to her bills, Uber's threatened to stop services in Colorado if the governor doesn't veto the bill.
They say that they stand for safety, but every single time we see something terrible happen, they pivot to boilerplate talking points. We're the safest in the nation. We've done this to protect your safety. But the reality is the majority of the safety fixtures that they provide are on the responsibility of the rider.
Wilford also helped pass a bill addressing the backlog in sexual assault kits at the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. Wilford said her own kit was stuck in a 550-day queue. Once it has the governor's signature, that bill would create a review board to monitoring testing protocols, notify victims throughout the process, and require CBI to publish a public dashboard showing their progress with the backlog. CBI says this backlog is partially due to the investigation into misconduct by a former DNA analyst, which impacted more than 800 cases as far back as 2014. The legislature also gave CBI money to hire outside labs for help with testing. So as of this moment, there are immigrants in Colorado rushing to put through asylum claims, as some previously protected groups are now being lined up by the Trump administration for deportation. Our Angeline McCall introduces us to a nonprofit trying to make the asylum process more accessible and more affordable.
Hola. Okay. It's hard for some immigrants to feel protected in the country. This is a first step.
Okay, explícame. Ahora sí. Ahora sí, por fin.
Immigrants have been coming to this clinic in Denver for help with their asylum applications.
Pero eso fue en agosto del año pasado.
Amanda Burr works with nonprofit Hope Has No Borders.
The stories are really difficult to read.
Sí, yo entiendo eso.
She helps people like Joasi Sosa file their paperwork.
Pero yo estoy preocupada por mí y mis hijos.
She's filing an application for Joasi, who hopes to stay in Denver.
Exacto. Entonces ahorita en realidad lo que necesito es lo mío. Con mis hijos que no salimos en el sistema ninguno.
Okay, so should we resubmit that?
Hope Has No Borders has been doing these clinics for months.
So I think that has changed a lot over the last few months. Initially we had some smaller groups.
Smaller groups turned to a full room.
A lot of fear, honestly, like a lot of people are just scared and they're like, oh no, I should have done this sooner, we gotta get it done, we gotta get it done.
Ah, no, ya la mandé.
Joasi hopes this is one form of protection.
Bueno, yo me quisiera quedar. Para eso estoy pidiendo el asilo.
Her husband has his own application. She's on a different one, meaning they could have different outcomes.
O sea, no sabemos quién va a quedar, quién no va a quedar, porque venimos en familia. Entonces, eso para nosotros es como que mal y preocupante, porque no queremos que nuestros hijos queden acá solos. Y entonces eso es el miedo que nos da a nosotros, los inmigrantes.
Yeah, it feels much more urgent. Definitely the groups that we're getting now are much more on that side of like, they're concerned. They're just concerned about what's coming or what is happening right now.
Amanda knows comfort can come by offering them this help.
I think what we're seeing now is kind of more folks that are concerned about the changes that we're seeing in the country.
Sí, ahorita sí.
And with so many changes, this is a first step to find that sense of stability.
O sea, sentimos mucho apoyo aquí.
The group has helped with 700 asylum applications, and each application can also be for entire families, meaning thousands of people have come through these clinics at this point within about a year, Kyle.
But yeah, Angeline, we know that the Trump administration is actively deporting people who are going through the asylum process, folks who are waiting for their day in court.
Yeah, I think it does offer a sense of security, but we also do know that ICE is detaining and deporting people that have pending asylum cases. That's a little different than what we saw years ago, where if you did have a pending case, they'd kind of let you see it through. Now, not so much. So it's more case-by-case dependent.
Angeline McCall, thank you.
I feel like I am actually doing something for my community, which is something I've always wanted to do.
Students in Greeley planting the seeds for a better downtown in their hometown. Next. The Democratic primary for Attorney General in Colorado in 2026 now includes a law and order type prosecutor who is not particularly well known statewide, Michael Doherty, a well-known, well-funded, and error-prone official, Jenna Griswold, and now a lefty lawyer who has represented workers and tenants over the years, David Seligman. Seligman, who is the executive director of the nonprofit legal advocacy group Towards Justice, just got into the AG's race. His legal track record includes defending workers at Amazon and the JBS meat plant and facility in Greeley, as well as lawsuits over tenants' rights and medical debt. He launched his campaign with endorsements from a list of progressive state legislators. He is firmly in the left lane of the Democratic Party. He spoke at Senator Bernie Sanders' rally in Colorado earlier this year. The Wild Animal Sanctuary in Keansburg regularly cries crisis, urgently asking the public for help with this and that. And now this time, the sanctuary is accusing some of its neighbors of breaching a contract. Those landowners say the reason that's happening is because the contract is not legal. It openly violates state law. The Wild Animal Sanctuary got a lot of people riled up over the weekend with a Facebook post about an incoming 8-lot neighborhood being built adjacent to their property. They say the landowners had a deal with the sanctuary and accused those landowners of disregarding the contract from 15 years ago. We got a copy of the contract and found that the landowners are abiding by most of it. They built a fence along the property. They included language in their HOA covenant that tells people they're moving in next to a wildlife sanctuary. They even require people considering buying to sign a disclaimer acknowledging that there is that wildlife sanctuary next door. Only thing from the contract they're not doing is enacting a provision giving the director of the Wild Animal Sanctuary a permanent seat on the neighborhood HOA board and giving him the ability to handpick other board members. State law says HOA board members have to own property in the community and they have to be selected by a vote of the other homeowners. The owner of the Wild Animal Sanctuary acknowledged today he understands that it conflicts with state law, but he's still looking for an attorney on this. Let's bring in meteorologist Chris Spears. Friend, it was too hot today. I'm sorry. It's too hot. Too hot. Not now.
I agree, Kyle. Too warm for me. I would like it to be in the 70s. We're going back to the 70s, so hang tight. We're going to be there here starting tomorrow. The record today was 90. It stands because we only made it to 85 at the airport. We're still in the 80s here across Metro Denver. You may want to grab your dinner and sit out on the patio tonight. It's a beautiful evening across the state, except western Colorado. You're nice, but you have wind, and that wind has been roaring all day long, still gusting up to 40 miles per hour or more in some places, such as Grand Junction. A couple of clouds passed through today, but this is what I have my eye on. It is a low pressure coming in overnight tonight, and it will be here tomorrow. Watch the left of your screen as the day goes on tomorrow. Clouds increase from west to east, mountain showers develop, and late in the day, about this time tomorrow, we'll be looking at a busy radar here from Denver and points off to the north and east. 40s and 50s tonight on the plains, 40s out west, high country primarily falling into the 30s. Tomorrow it will be cooler for most locations because of this front. The exception, the southeast plains. You'll still have 80s to near 90, but 70s on the northeastern plains, 50s and 60s for the high country and out west. Here's Denver's extended forecast. Our coolest day of this stretch is Thursday. We'll warm a little bit Friday into Saturday before the next storm hits Sunday and Monday with cooler temps and a chance for rain.
Next time you drive through downtown Greeley and notice how gorgeous it looks these days, thank the young people in that community. Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? We stream nightly on 9 News Plus, 6 p.m. And next is also a podcast, wherever you find those. A new behavioral health center opened its doors on the Western Slope recently. It's now the only option for inpatient psych treatment between Denver and Salt Lake City. There's another provider in Grand Junction that closed their doors earlier this year. Vale Health's Precourt Healing Center in Edwards started accepting patients earlier this month. They've got 28 youth and adult beds. Patients need a referral to get in there. It should go a long way toward filling the gap left behind by the closure of West Spring Hospital in Grand Junction earlier this year. West Spring shut down their inpatient services due to financial issues. They still have outpatient clinics and a detox facility. My neighborhood Home Depot and the Ace both ran out of brown mulch last weekend because everybody and their mother was out putting in gardens on Saturday and Sunday. But high schoolers in Greeley have been working on theirs for weeks, beautifying the city they love. Our Byron Reed has that.
You took those out?
Creating beauty can get ugly.
This is from all the topsoil, and that's all of this stuff.
But for 15-year-old Diego Corrales, dirty hands are his passion.
Yeah, I love working with my hands. I definitely am a hands-on learner.
Diego's a sophomore at Greeley West High School. He's part of a group of horticulture students cultivating knowledge on the 8th Street Plaza.
Today I learned a big factor of plant layout, and it was called thriller, filler, spiller. And it's where you want to put the biggest plant you have in the center, and from there on out you kind of just want to fill it, which is the filler section, and the spiller, which is kind of like all of the viney ones that'll drip over the pot.
They've been with the Greeley Public Works Department for a few weeks, designing landscapes and installing drip irrigation. Today is the final phase of the beautification project.
There's roughly 800 plants that have gone in the ground today, majority of those being perennials, and the remainder being the annual planters here on the plaza.
Zachary Jordahl is the horticulture lead for the city. He hopes the biggest lesson learned by students,
sense of pride,
is one that will flourish in their lives.
Just being proud of what they've created, being able to show it off to their friends, their families, and taking home that knowledge of horticulture at the end of the day.
Just make sure they're evenly spread out.
It's a sense of accomplishment for Diego and his classmates, getting their hands dirty to make their city not bad on the eyes.
It's just great to be able to walk in and say, I did that, and my school did that.
For next,
and I feel like I'm just gonna be proud to be able to walk downtown Greeley.
I'm Byron Reed.
Downtown Greeley, highly underrated. Hey, today was the final phase of the 8-month beautification project. It was coordinated with the Greeley Public Works Department. Maryland's all about that plant life, though. That thriller, that filler.
That spiller.
That spiller. Yeah, the key is the spiller. If you don't do the spiller, no. All over the place. We're back with your feedback on plants or whatever else you want to talk about next. Feedback tonight, we've gotten a couple of these. I was appalled to see a pro-Trump commercial on 9 News. Person writes in to say, I guess I will not be watching again unless 9 News airs an anti-Trump ad. So just a real quick explainer on how this works. We've talked about it before, but it's worth covering. Our ads are handled by our sales department, which operates independently from our news department. They can't tell us what news to put on the air. We can't tell them what ads to put on the air. As for whether you're seeing a mix of pro or anti-Trump ads, my guess is that's based on who's buying ads these days. I haven't heard any suggestion that an ad has been rejected. Text, love the soup coat, not loud, a lovely color. What is this color? I honestly don't know.